Today it's all about the #1 beginner's music production mistake that has to do with bass, kick, balance, and how to actually handle the low end.
Just another sun, another sun.
Hey guys, welcome to the studio. It's kind of funny since I got this new huge studio. I'm just taking care of all of the business stuff that are involved in making this place hopefully a success. All of the construction work. So during the week I take care of these things and also building the team. And on the weekend, today's Saturday, I'm sneaking away from home and come here to just produce. Reminds me of the early days where I was still in school. So being a full-time music producer and DJ sometimes means that you don't make that much music, but that's just like for probably the next month until this entire space, the vocal booth and the studio upstairs are done. And then having the team and the studio and everything running and working will get me back to making even more and better music than before. That's why I'm doing all of this. So one more month, maybe two if some things fail. But anyways, today it's all about music. I will sit here and just produce and make a little video for you about bass, like how to get a nice accurate bass, how not to have too much bass, and also show you some examples of my songs that actually got released, how I handled the bass and kick and like the mixing between those two. So first up, there are two really important things about bass lines you should know, two factors you have to consider. First of all, the notes of the bass line. The notes represent frequencies. The lower the notes go, the lower the frequency, the higher. And you have to make sure that the notes you play sit in the right frequency spot. So if you play too high, it's not a bass line anymore. If it's too low, it's just mud. So you have to hit the right octave to play your bass line in. And even within that octave, it might be wise to change the key of your song so that you use different notes and different root notes so it works better together with the kick. And the second factor is the one everyone forgets about. It's the length of your bass, the length of your kick, like the bass part of the kick. The longer it is, the more bass you have. The shorter it is, the less. The more room you have, the more room you have to compress the song, the more room you have for other elements. Because as you know, the entire mix, I always say it, it's like a box. You can put certain things in it. At one point it's full. And if you have a bass line and kick that takes away 80% of your song, there is no room for the other stuff. So you have to carve out the bass and kick and kind of squeeze them together, sidechain them to each other to have more room available for the rest of the song. And if you listen carefully to a lot of those big radio songs or huge festival songs, yes, it might appear like they have a whole lot of bass, but if you listen to those tracks in a studio on studio monitors, you will actually feel that there isn't that much bass. And never ever try to have more bass than those professional producers. They already use every trick in the book to get that much bass. If you try to get even more than that, it is probably too much and will just ruin your mix. As the first example, I'm opening up one of my older projects. It's called Hold On. Unfortunately, never got released. I actually really love the melodies. But we'll look deeper into the bass line. It's one of those very simple bass lines where you just hold the notes. Extremely simple bass line, and the only things I use on this bass line is Diva to generate the sound. I opened up the cutoff a tiny bit just to have more of those higher frequencies to be able to hear the bass in the mix and give it this grittiness. And then there is the channel EQ, extremely important, and that's one of the things a lot of people don't do. You gotta cut the bass. I cut this one at 80 Hertz because I wanted to go for a song where the kick is kind of the star of the song and the bass compartment. So I cut it away more of the bass so those two don't interfere. And I also used the compressor with the standard sidechain to make even sure that whenever the kick hits, the bass gets lowered a tiny bit. And again, that low cut is so important. I usually go for a 24 dB cut, and then I just move it up and down and make sure the kick has enough room so that those two kind of touch each other. So you have the frequency, the peak of the kick, and right where it like fades away, the bass kind of starts. So those two sit next to each other in the frequency spectrum. Let's now close this, leave the EQ open, and maybe add kick to it. Loop this section off and go. Again, just a kick. So you can see this kick hits at exactly 45 Hertz. It's a little lower than usually. Most kicks are around 50, but I lowered this one to have even more space for the bass. And now you can basically see the kick here, and the EQ shows the frequencies of the bass line. And I just cut it away, the part that is around 50 Hertz. If I remove it, you see all of this bass build up between 50 and 20 Hertz. It is so unnecessary. No one will ever hear it. It doesn't do anything besides of taking away the space and the activity of your speakers. They move, and if they have to generate really low bass notes, they can't really take care of generating the rest, and kind of the energy is gone. Same for club systems, they don't go that low. Like 25 Hertz, 30 Hertz, but really not lower than that. It's just not really possible, too expensive, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. No headphones, no home listening speakers generate those frequencies, at least not accurate, so just get rid of them. You can also cut away around 20, maybe 25 Hertz on the kick, at least a tiny bit. Depends on the kick. If you sample it somewhere else, the person that already used it might already have done that, so you don't have to worry about that. But for sounds you generate in a synthesizer, usually low cutting. So let me play you again kick and bass, and then immediately followed by kick and bass without the EQ and without the sidechain. Hope you're able to hear the difference. If you're listening to this not on headphones and not on proper speakers, probably not a whole lot of difference, but always think about it. If you do these kind of small changes on like this song, I mean it's not finished, but it has 21 tracks, it adds up. At the end you have a much better song. If you squeeze out 5% on every individual track, it can make or break the song. The mixing is quite important, as you know, especially for electronic dance music. It can really amplify and make a musically nice song a lot more pleasing to actually listen to. And even people that don't have a clue about mixing, they still have like a feeling for a properly mixed song. It just sounds nicer to them, fatter, rounder, has more punch than something that isn't mixed at all.
Never thought I'd see my fortunes turn to dust. These city lights burning so strong, and here am I standing in the corner of the world, just another sun, another sun.
I got completely, absolutely lost this entire day working on the next single that I will release. It was called Not Scared. I had 5-6 times different vocals on top. Now it's called Back to Back. It should be finished soon. I still can't play it to you. I still can't show you how I made it, because I still need to sign the contract with the singer and songwriter. Once this is done, I will show you the entire project in one of the upcoming videos. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to see that. And yeah, that's pretty much it from today. Tomorrow, hopefully back again in the studio. And before I forget it, there is the John Sine Team App Discord server where music producers get feedback for their songs. You can collaborate with other people, exchange reposts on SoundCloud and Spotify. I will put the link down below. It's active for 24 hours, so if you watch this in the first 24 hours, just click on it, be part of it, and get help by other music producers and also help other people. I hope this community will grow. And yeah, now just maybe 5 more minutes on the song and then back home.